Ready or not, you're on candid camera. Okay, so everybody, welcome. This is session number 10 of our 10-part series, Your 12 Months of Summer, and it's designed to keep you busy year-round, not just during the hot and cold parts of the year. So we've had a lot we've gone through, and so what I would like to do, with your permission, is go back and review, and maybe we'll dive in just a little bit on each of these. So I'm going to try to screen share here as best I can. If you'll bear with me, there's about 8,000 buttons that need to be pressed. All right, I'm ready here, and bear with me. Maybe. All right, screen share, and there's that. And I could always do better. Slideshow, and we're going to reverse the display so that you're looking at the right one. Okay, so I always start with the same one. Everybody seeing the cup of coffee? Good to go. And that's the real thing. Okay, so one of the things that we really wanted to emphasize on keeping your company busy year round is you have to draw the right attention. You have to project the right image. We've all heard of the law of attraction. If you're a one trucker and you don't have a lettered vehicle and you're a good discount, you're going to draw people that are looking for low price bargains, promos, or see what they can get away with. But if you have a more professional image and you appeal to a higher standard, or a customer who demands a higher standard of service and products and things, and they're willing to pay for that, now you're attracting the right customer avatar. So one of the things that we talked about was our buddy over at oh gosh, I'll think of it here in a second, Dan Antonelli. He sent me this example. This is one of his last ones, and we talked about this and how you can project a professional image. And Dan says the biggest thing I lament is guys with so much potential, but they're hamstrung by their brand, and then they keep throwing money at their marketing and wondering why it's not effective. And then all these digital agencies are happy to take their money without first addressing the core problem. And I really, really feel like he hit this on the head. And one of the programs that I taught a long time ago is selecting the proper name, measuring that, and figure out which one floats to the top naturally so that you don't have to buy its way to the top. Your image, your logo, and independent of each other, and then meshing them together and creating an overall feel that it's just easy for people to remember, and better yet, sometimes difficult for people to forget. Last night, we had Kelly McKay, and he didn't just revisit his brand. He just redid it. He changed the name. He did a total rebrand. Now, all of us need to be upgrading. I think he's going to revisit this and take it to another level in a year or two. But for right now, he's really happy with that, particularly where he came from. And this is what we look like for years, but obviously we need more than that. So always, always, always be thinking about your brand and who it appeals to, right? We want to appeal to the appropriate customer avatar. That's not necessarily the one with the most money. Generally, your customer does have financial flexibility. Sometimes they have to finance and things like this, but they are looking for quality. They're looking for customer service. They're looking for somebody who cares. They're looking for a relationship. They're looking for somebody they can trust, and they're looking for somebody who really takes pride in their work and does a good job. So along with other things. So just revisiting that, this is what you're judged on every day. And I know we fall in love with our own logos and our own company names, and I understand that, but we really have to revisit these things, particularly if our name is forgettable. I have had that happen to me. People call other companies looking for me because they couldn't remember my name, and vice versa. And probably you have too. So one of the first things we have to do when we get in the door is generally with a service technician. So we had Joe out. Joe Crisara, contractorselling.com. He did a great job. Joe's so good. He's so humble, and he's very polished, very professional, and his processes work well. Now, we wanted to feature Joe in his program because he is able to take service selling just to a whole other level. And so many of you guys that are in that 1, 2, 3 truck situation right now, you're smaller. You really need to leverage every customer to the most potential possible, so that you don't know when the next customer might be coming along. Not yet. You're starting to pick up that momentum. You're starting to get things moving, but it takes a while before you hit what we call that tipping point, in which you're buying customers, and then one day they're just coming in. And that's what we're looking for. And so techniques like Joe's work for your company, for your bottom line, but they really work well for your customer because you're really doing a better job. So that's why we want to look at processes like Joe's with a service technician, so that we can not only take better care of our customers, but also take better care of our business. And in harmony with our theme, we can schedule work forward. So if there's work like replacing that entire duct system in that hot attic, or totally pulling the insulation, resealing and re-insulating in that hot attic, that we're going to go ahead and schedule that during a period where our technicians aren't just beat to death up in that heat, and we can take a deposit and then do that work later. And he shared some strategies on that. So, but service training isn't the only thing. It's not the only opportunity that we have. We also have equipment replacement opportunities and training. So we brought in Sam. Sam did a really good job, and he really communicated effectively, I think, the importance of having a process. And I'm going to share with you here in a minute a little piece that I used in my process, and see what you think. It's actually my first free gift, because I mentioned that each of you are going to have some free gifts, and so I want to share a little insight with you there. But the point is, you need to have a process. You need to have a system. You need to have something tangible that you can lay in front of your customer and let them hold in their hands and feel the difference, experience something different with you. So if you don't want to use Sam's process, there are other trainers, including several in this group, that offer sales training. And but Sam's does a good job, and we're really pleased with what he did. And so, well, we've got the service opportunities handled. We've got a great image handled. Now we know how to give a proper estimate, right? But how do we drive these customers in? We don't have a lot of money to spend right now. So we had Dennis come in, and he started talking about social media. Now, I think his real passion are the financials. So we're going to have him on another one for that one. And I think he's on the group tonight. But he did go into these social platforms such as LinkedIn, and he really contrasted how that is so different than something like Facebook, and how your profiles should appeal to the appropriate people on those platforms in a specific way, and how important your content is, and how important the consistency of uploading that content is, into having success on these platforms. And guys, social media is part of our reality now. Get used to that camera. If you don't want to get in front of it, get behind it and get your employees in front of it. Do what you got to do, but make your company famous. And you can do it right through social media. And these are only 2 platforms. There's a lot of other opportunities that you can do in building value in your customers' eyes. Now, one strategy, I just want to linger on this just for a moment. One strategy is, you've got this great brand, then you've got this marketing, and you're doing it organically, and you're starting to become familiar with your customer base. Now, do you know why celebrities on television and movies and singers freak out when their fans approach them? I mean, how would you feel if somebody come running up to you and said, "Oh, it's you, it's you, it's you. Oh my gosh, it's you." Right? They feel like they know you, but that feeling doesn't necessarily reciprocate. These are famous people. All they see is the camera. They don't see you back. Well, we can have a similar, to a lesser degree, a similar effect where we become the local celebrity. And guess what? That barrier of we don't know who you are and whether we trust you, it starts to come down. And this is a great avenue that you can start to build a positive reputation and become more popular in your local market. And you can kind of be the local celebrity. And I just felt like that was worth mentioning. One of the other things that we spoke about were, what jobs can we push back to the slower months? What can we promote during the summer months? We had some really good input. Everything from duct cleaning to add-on accessories to vapor sealing and just a host of different things that you can do, like allergy season, things like this, that you can do during these off seasons. And so we know during the busy season what we need to be scheduling during those slower seasons, or even planting seeds and coming back and revisiting those later. Now, Joe talked about setting the appointment early, and I complimented that, or I attempted to, by saying, listen, if you can't always set that appointment, at least make those recommendations on every single invoice every time. With my guys, they always had to have the recommendations, and they better do it. They better be some good ones, right? Don't just go in there and do the minimum. We want a total analysis of the system. We want to see what we can recommend to enhance this homeowner's experience in comfort, in convenience, in peace of mind, in breathing in better quality air with healthier air, and all these different things. What can we recommend now? And we recommend them now because we would take every one of those, we put a copy over what we call a tickler file, and we would revisit that, and then we could call and follow up and say, Mr. Jones, remember that oversized thermostat, the vision assisted thermostat, I'm using the wrong verbiage, visual aid thermostat, that you don't have to wear your glasses in the middle of the night and see because it's slightly illuminated. Guess what's on sale this month? All right. So they pass on it before. We'll revisit that. We'll put it on a promotion, and it helps fill in our time. But probably, without a question, the one product or service that we can most benefit from by moving to our slowest part of the year are, drum roll please, our maintenance agreements. This was key. Guys, this is the biggest, most important part to develop in your business, is a good customer base through an agreement, such as a maintenance agreement. And when you're out there during those slow periods, your technicians, you can have maintenance techs and service techs. We generally use both, just depending on the loads, that can go through the system and look for additional opportunities to improve your customer's situation. And by virtue of that, help your business, help everybody stays busy. Everybody wins on this. Everybody wins on this. But how do you sell service agreements and get that number up really fast? Well, we had Nick McDonald come in, and he talked about that. He kind of got into that first section, talking about crafting your maintenance agreement system and what the benefits are. And he mentioned that he's got a fuller program, and I'm pretty sure there's a discount to those of you who are interested in that, as well as some of the other groups. But the point is, offering maintenance agreements should be of paramount importance to you, the business owner. And it really should be very important to you, the business owner, that every employee within your operation, particularly those on the front line, fully 100% not only understand how good this is for the homeowner, but like we did with ours, we felt sorry for customers that didn't have our maintenance agreement. It was that good. It was that good. So we did that by having meetings. We got everybody involved. We talked about the benefit, and not everything is energy savings, and that's okay. Some of it's just safety and peace of mind. You know, knowing that that heat exchanger does not have a crack in it, and these customers do not have carbon monoxide leaking into their house with little children and stuff. These are little things that are really, really important. And there's a host of other benefits from that, certainly. So we had another guest speaker come in. That was Kelly. And he was talking about strategies that you can use to maintain that high profile. And we just used his example on the vehicle. He's the one that rebranded. But he talked about yard signs. He just talked about a host of different good things. So for those of you who haven't seen that, go back and look at number 9 of the 10. And he goes through speaking from the position of a heating and air conditioning and now plumbing contractor over in Kansas. I forget what city he's in, but he is the dominant player. He disrupted his market. He rebranded. And now he's doing all these extra things to take his business to the highest level possible, right? So let's move on. We talked about processes. We talked about systems. and how every part of your business, in order for it to have that national or that franchise feel or that consistency, so that if your customer has one technician out on one experience, when the next technician comes out, it is an extremely similar or hopefully identical experience. And that happens through following a process. So let's talk about two processes. I have a document. I'm going to just show you page one. We've got several pages of this, okay? I have a document here, and it's listed at the top. This is for installation. Now, when I develop my sales training program for my students, we literally list all of these steps that we do better than our competition in terms of installation procedures. This is why our installations are better. This is why, this is why, this is why. So if we look at a document like this one, let's just go right, because this is for installation. Now, you can use this to present maintenance agreements as well, but let's go to this North Carolina Alternative Energy Corp. So this is a nonprofit organization, okay? They checked the manufacturer's efficiencies that they rated these things for. Let's say it was a 14 SEER versus what they actually verified after contractors installed them. Was it a 14 SEER or was it less? And a full 90%. Guys, 10 estimates, only one of them got it right. 9 out of 10 installed something improperly, and it was costing that customer money, and it was not delivering the promise of that capacity, that efficiency, or worse yet, both. Okay, so we're talking 9 out of 10 here. So half of them, 50%, had the wrong refrigerant charge. Okay, so we're a little off on a Freon, big deal. We'll look up what Texas A&M said. A 23% refrigerant undercharge could result in a 52% efficiency loss. Guys, that's doubling the cost of your operation. At our company, this is how we properly charge our system. At our company, this is how we properly install this, that, and the other. You use documents like these in your sales process and watch how their eyes open and they realize that a quote is not a quote is not a quote. Don't get 3 quotes and go with the lowest bid, because they are different. These are documents that illustrate that. Half of, or 40%, failed to meet the minimum airflow criterion for the equipment. So what does that mean to you, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner? That means that if not enough air goes through this thing, it could break. It could be damaged. It could cost you money. It could have issues down the road. So 4 out of 10 barely made it, or made it, and 2 additional out of 10. Now we're up to 60%. 2 out of 10 barely made it. So as soon as you have a dirty filter, now we have 6 out of 10. 60% bad airflow. At our company, this is how we verify our airflow. These are the systems and procedures that we use, et cetera, and so forth. So do you get that? Hopefully you get that. And there's tons more here. There's other pages of this. This is the first free gift that I wanted to share with the group. It'll be on that email that comes through. And by the way, make sure that you ask for free gifts for somebody that might be on here that hasn't already submitted your email at hvacgreatness@gmail.com. So that's what we want to discuss on that. There's tons of other stats on here. In fact, I've got a full report I'm going to share with you in PDF as well. There's multi-pages, and you can take these one-liners and sprinkle them through your presentation so that you can properly illustrate the value of a proper installation and how your installation measures up. So it's all about the blueprint. What is the blueprint? We need everything in place, and then we need each capacity or each role in place so that organically we're properly proportioned. We have what we call full capacity. And we talked about that a little bit. How many installs can your installation crew do per year? We talked about 250 work days, throwing out weekends, holidays, and overtime. So about 5 a week, right? So how many leads does it take to get 5 a week? Well, what's our closing ratio? What's the source of that? And we start analyzing all this stuff down, and we realize we can assemble this thing, and all these pieces come together, and it becomes a whole lot less work, and we start getting organic sales. That means sales that you don't have to pay for. They're free. that's just part of your customer base. This is huge. This is huge. So we've covered a good deal on this, and now you are an HVAC money magnet. Look at you. You got your new image. Now you know how to do service sales. You know how to do replacement sales. You know how to work that social media. You know how to schedule work ahead of time. You know how to leverage maintenance agreements and how important they are to you. You're starting to really understand marketing and advertising, and you know what that success business model really should look like, or you're beginning to if you don't yet. That's okay. It's just, this is a process. Then we talk about the processes and systems, how important each of those are to you, and how, as a result, you've got happier customers, happier employees, and you have a bigger bank account at the end of the tax season. So, and also a proper support structure. Guys, we're not an island. We all help each other. You guys are in this training because you understand the value of learning from other people. We all do. I sat through my share of classes, and I know you guys have too. So in essence, this kind of summarizes where we are up to this point with our 12 months of summer, the 14 day HVAC business challenge, but it goes on. And I at least want to touch on this for everybody. You need to continue with your training. It doesn't have to be online. It doesn't have to be in person. It doesn't have to be via video. It doesn't have to be anything necessarily specific. It just has to work well for you. We've given you a number of options on trainers, and there's certainly many, many others out there, but the point is you have to keep improving. Kelly McKay referred to it the other day as CANI, constant and never-ending improvement. We always have to be working that. Now, this takes a mindset change, because sometimes we feel like we know it all. We got success, you know, and we're all successful during the summer. But show me what your bank account looks like during the slowest part of the year, or better yet, what your work schedule looks like during the slowest part of the year, and I'll show you a true business owner, somebody who knows what they're doing. So we want to talk about group coaching as an owner. You don't have to go one-on-one. You can do it as group, and you can save some money like that, but you can also do one-on-one. All right. What about HVAC industry specific financial training? Does your chart of accounts look like a generic one, or is it unique to our industry, specific to our industry, and set up properly so that not only know what each department is doing, maybe you can dial that right down to the truck and know how profitable they are in each role that they perform, and see where you need training, where you're losing money, where you're making money, and things of this nature. Advanced sales training. Now, we talked lightly on sales training. What about an advanced program? What about taking your salesperson and really taking them to the next level? I've mentioned this before. If you don't have them yet, when you're taking your technician hat off and you're putting your sales hat on, you're going up against pros. You're going up against people who understand the psychology. They've role played. They've got all of this support material, and they're going to kick your hind end if you're not prepared. But all that technical skills can work to your benefit if you combine it with this type of technology, where you can actually go in and display huge value through a process and a system designed to touch people at an emotional level. We can't appeal to their technical level because they don't have the technical competence that we do, or certainly they don't have the insights that we do as technicians and HVAC professionals. So that's so important to us. The same is true on marketing. We don't know it all. You know, I'm always reaching out as well. I've got my mentors and trainers, and they help with my marketing strategies, and hopefully you do as well. Marketing and advertising are two different things. We should know the difference. Marketing is internal. Your advanced systems training, this is the processes and systems that we've been talking about. What about you as an owner? I had a call. One of my first calls when I launched this new group. Guy says, Pete, I'm ready to sell it all and quit. And he had about 9 employees. He was doing roughly 2.2 million in gross revenues at 15% net profit. And that is strong, guys. That's a good number. I mean, 20% would be better, but 15% net on 2 million, that's good money. And he said, Pete, I think I just want to sell it or quit and go back to work for somebody else. I just can't deal with this anymore. And I said, well, what's wrong? You're doing well. He said, I got 3 problems. I've got leadership, accountability, and cultural issues. And I'm like, God, that's you. That's all you. We know how to be employees because we were brought up in that world, but do we know how to be employers? And bossing people around is not a true leader. A true leader inspires. A true leader motivates, creates an atmosphere where their employees can ascend, they can grow, they have a career path. It's exciting. And that's up to you. You don't have to be Mr. Charisma, but you do have to have charismatic abilities. And so there's training for that as well. Just going into business, just having a license it's a step in the right direction, but there's more to it. And also employee accountability training. How can you make your employees truly accountable to you, to your organization, to the system, to their peers, and to your customers? All of these things are important variables, right? So keep your training wheel going. Now, I've got kind of an exciting announcement, and I'm going to ask somebody to jump in here in just a minute. But what you see sitting here is a private inner circle membership group full of empty seats. Now, we've actually got more seats in this picture than we have seats in attendance. But what we're going to do is, if you like this format and you like to continue something like this, we're looking at doing something just for you owners. Because if you're like I was, my technicians would call me, Pete, what do I do here? I can't find the model and serial number on this plate. I'm like, what brand is it? It's a comfort maker. It's round. There's no data plate. I said, you see where the line set goes in? You see the box in there? See if it's not on the inside. Oh, Pete, you're so smart. You know, it's everybody was Pete. It may be the installers. It may be the inside service reps. It may be the office manager. Everybody is boss. Are you living that? Is that your reality? Who do you go to? What keeps you from overstressing? What keeps you, what gives you relief, right?
Alcohol.
Besides alcohol, drugs, and loose women, what gives you, I shouldn't have said that, I'm sorry, politically correct these days. What gives you the relief? So yeah, it helps to have a mentor, sure. But what about having some peers? What about having some people that we can bounce some ideas off of? So what we've done is we've teamed up. Dennis Homan and I, he's the one that did the presentation on the social media, and he's our financials guru, and he worked for Carrier for years. He helped Wendell Long get his start back in the day. And so we were talking about this. We said, you know, the industry needs this. The industry needs this. And the concept is we have these type of meetings. We have them a couple of them a month. We do some training, but most importantly, we feed off each other. Okay, you got a couple of guys with experience in there, but you also have other peers that can brainstorm, that we can be a think tank. What do you think about this? And we sit down together. If one of you have a problem, we all team up and we solve it together. And one of the lessons I learned way back in my training days is, if you want to learn something really well, go teach it. So when you're helping other people, you learn in the process. Everybody wins. So you'll be part of a tight community, a very limited number. And the reason is, we want this to be effective. If we we're not a membership drive here. We're just looking to put a small group together. So we decided to start with just 10 seats, but so we can encourage each other, so we can be accountable to each other, so we can share what we learned. We can test hey, let's try this new marketing piece, see what works for everybody. Everybody tries, and we get the feedback. We can vent. You know, you had this customer and you just don't know what to do. I can't get my payment out of them. What the heck do I do? So these are the type of things. So what we're going to do is offer this out. So the first 10 people, and we're full, okay, for now. So we're going to start off with just 10 people, and then the members will vote. We're going to do it this night. We're going to do it at this time, and so it's best for everybody. And it's your thing. We're just facilitating, okay? So, but if somebody drops out, so we came up with a figure of $99, and I think that's a good fair number. I mean, who can't afford $99? But the point is, this is much more than just a room where we can come together as business owners and pay to be a member. This is an opportunity to be a part of something and not be alone out there. And I want to stop right there. Can somebody chime in? Dennis, would you help me out here? I want your feedback on this because I know this was hugely his idea, and I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, Pete. You know, guys, this isn't something that has been planned for weeks. Really, Pete and I came up with this just, you know, very recently here. And I've been listening to the group here, and really, I noticed that there's just this tight-knit group of guys. I mean, it's pretty much the same, you know, 15 to 20 people on here all the time. And I'm listening to them. So I kind of mentioned this over to Pete, and I was like, hey, Pete, you know, these guys seem to be a good group, but there's this little niche out there that I think HVAC business owners, or just business owners in general, they don't get filled. Now, when it comes to a mastermind group, and the reason I pitched this to Pete is like, hey, I think we should do this and help these guys out is, I mean, I practice what I preach. I'm currently the member of 2 paid mastermind groups where I pay to be in, and I also facilitate another one. And when I first mentioned this to Pete, I mean, the group I have here in Denver, it's just 5 business owners. Actually, one of them's HVAC. But, you know, these guys pay $500 a month to be a part of this mastermind group. And Pete was like, Dennis, I want to make this affordable to everybody in this group. We're doing it online. Let's figure out how to make it so whether you're a big company or a small one, you could be in there. So that's why we arrived at that price. But I'll tell you, I really want to explain what a mastermind group really is. You've got a lot of great training here in the last couple of weeks from Pete, and there's a lot of great trainings out there. You could have a one-on-one coach or whatever, but a mastermind group is, like Pete said, it's peers that come together to solve problems. I don't know everything. Pete doesn't know anything. The 10 people that are going to be in this group don't know anything. I'll tell you this much, the 12 of us together probably know 99% of what you need to know, and we can help them. So it's one of those groups that's, I don't want to call it a support group. It's not that, but it's just business owners being there for business owners, discussing the problems, getting them out there, getting them out in the open. I mean, believe me, in my mastermind groups, I'll be totally open here. Sometimes I go into my group and the guys ask me what's going on. I'm like, well, I don't know. I feel like putting my face through a wall. Those are the guys that understand it. I had a client message me today and saying, guess what? I got to put on the tools because my technician hurt his back. Well, guess what? The technician doesn't understand that. The business owner, he's the guy that can't have the hurt back. He's got to always put those things on. He's got to fill in and get his business done. The employee doesn't get that. Maybe the spouse doesn't get that. Guess who gets that? Other HVAC business owners understand that. And that's what this group's about, getting in there. It's going to be an organic thing, guys. Pete and I have a pretty good agenda set out, but this is going to be one of these things that grow where the members set the agenda. If you guys want to know more about service agreements, I know Zeke was sharing some stuff on service agreements, then guess what? Let's talk about that. If it's more on, man, we can't deal with our employees, or how do you handle this? That's the way we're going to handle that. A mastermind group was originally coined by Napoleon Hill in 1925, you know, Think and Grow Rich author. It is one of the most powerful groups and relationships you guys will ever have. And I think Pete set this at a really good price point, cup of coffee a day. There's no long-term agreement. If you get in and in a month or two down, you're like, this isn't for me, then fine, you can go. But we're definitely looking to fill this up with some of the 10 guys that are a meeting in this group, and definitely looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to get a ton out of it, way more value than $99.
You know what else, Dennis? Let me just interject real briefly. What really inspired me on this whole thing was I go in these Facebook groups and you ask a question and they attack you. You know,
yes.
they're not trying to help. They want to criticize, and they call it crashing. They want to crash you so that they feel bigger. I just don't want anything to do with it. So totally separate from Facebook. And we were talking about this too, Dennis, where let's put in an application and make this 24/7 available so that if you're thinking about something going down the road, the entire group will get this message, a small group. And, you know, I got this customer, he's not going to pay me, and I'm dealing with this, and that. The lawyer's saying to do the other. What should I? whatever it is, we don't want to wait till a meeting 2 weeks away. Let's make it something that we're connected all the time, right? And so we can kind of help each other. I mean, we're not going to beat each other up 24/7, but at least we're available. And maybe I'm not available, Dennis is not available, or you, the member, aren't available, but somebody else is. And they'll at least get a conversation started and get some support. If nothing else, have somebody that got your back emotionally. I mean, you're dealing with this stuff. The wife doesn't always understand. Well, she probably understands more than most, but your employees definitely don't understand what you're going through. Who do you go to better than somebody in the same position as you? That was the idea there. So we at least wanted to put that out there.
I'm fired up about this. Ever since you and I spoke about it, it's going to be awesome. I mean, I can't wait for it. So it starts the first week in September. I think we'd like to get all 10 members in by the end of this week and start to collate some what days should we meet, what time is convenient for everybody. So hopefully we can definitely get some stuff in here very quickly, Pete.
Yeah, I think it's going to do well. I just got a message. I think George is in. So I can't check my email quite yet, George, but so any of you guys, first 10 come. Let's just leave it at that for right now. And also, Dennis, let's hold that price point. They never go up. Let's say if we decide to add a couple of people later, we have to go up to just for whatever reason. If you're a founding member, that's it. That's as high as you'll ever pay. Cool?
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. I'm in.
So now what am I going to do? Oh, gosh. Technical difficulties. Oh, there it is. All right.
So you just want us to email you if we want a part of that, or how do we go about that? Because that sounds good to me.
Yeah, just reach out to one of us, and then we'll contact you, Eric, and we'll get your information, and we'll get all the kind of the rules of the group out to you. And we've got kind of a couple weeks here to kind of put everything together. I think Pete's got some good ideas to throw us all in a group, and so we can communicate together and figure a best time, because it's a mastermind group. Pete and I will facilitate it, but it's all about the members. It's all about what we can accomplish as a group and what problems we can solve. So yeah, just contact us and one of us will get with you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Cool.
Great.
Cool. Okay, so we're winding this down, so I'll just hit this real quick. This is not working. Let me try it over here. Oh gosh. How about now? There we go. I have to do it manually. So yeah, there's the email address, HVAC Greatness Gmail. If you just want to send me that. Also, I'm going to be putting out the gifts and everything. My first gift is going to be, actually, I think I already have it in here. There it is again. This is that little document. There's a second page of this, and then I got another 4-page. Please go in and change this wording here. Importance of a proper maintenance agreement. A 23%, right back to what we're talking about. Airflow, this, that, and the other. Let's see here. I can't really read it because I'm blocking it on this one here. Oh, let me look over here. A deficiency of only 20% in indoor airflow reduces a SEER by 17%. We make sure that your system is at optimal performance, not wasting your money, wasting your capacity, sacrificing your family's health, all these different things. So what this document works for in installation sales, it also works really well for maintenance agreement sales. So you'll want to give a copy of this, reword a little bit of that, and give a copy of this to your technicians and put it in a little binder and say, listen, this is an example of what happens to people when they don't maintain their equipment. And there's other examples as well, of course. Now, I will be offering as my second bonus a 1 hour. I usually give 30 minutes, a 1 hour strategy call with anybody and everybody in this group, and we can sit down and we'll just talk about you. We'll just talk about your business, and we'll go into some of these other things. Now, I do have a group that's not $99, but it's actual training and consulting. What we're doing here with this other group is totally different. This is a special group for owners, and we're just there is no script. It's about you, and it's about what's important in your life right now, and we got to keep your sanity. So those are totally two different things. So with that said, that's pretty much what we had as an overview. I know we moved kind of fast. We got an extra 15, 20 minutes here, but I wanted to open that up and let's talk. What do you think about the program so far? What would you like to see going forward? What do you want to see in this new group? Talk to me. I'm trying to exit out of some of this stuff. Okay, George, go.
Well, I guess most of it that I'd like to see is on the development side, the processes.
Right.
Because, I'm about to the point, and I don't know how, I see there's a couple of guys up there that's about as old as me.
Yeah.
But getting to the point that I don't want out in the field anymore. I've had enough.
And you don't need to be. I'm hearing a common theme. Zeke mentioned it up. Zeke is the one that offered up. He said, hey, let's talk maintenance agreements. And he threw that up in the group. We got a little bit of feedback. A couple of guys posted their stuff. But some of the stuff that's out there is good. But I'm thinking, let's do it great, right? Let's develop something new. Let's take it to another level. I've got a graphics guy that I'm working with that's doing my design stuff. And we'll throw him in the mix and we'll create our own stuff, right? You have to have the right key points in place, of course, but we can do that kind of stuff as well. And then who else was Dan? He was looking for some additional stuff on the maintenance agreement program. This has really become evident to the group. We can tell just how vital this is to your company. Now, if you have an operation that, let's say, have 2 installers and you have a couple of techs, maybe 3, and maybe 1 maintenance agreement guy or 2, you should probably have at least 1,000 maintenance agreements based on that size approximately. So think of your number in your head. How many do I have right now? If you're like me, back when I first heard about this, I had like 10 or 50 or whatever it was. I don't remember. But we can do it better. And you always, just like your wrap, just like your image, we gotta stay ahead of the game. So that's why I just don't see any other way to do it and to stay in it. And you don't have to break the bank to do it. That's why we're looking at these other options. We had some questions over in the group. Anybody else want to chime in while I'm reading this? What is tickler? Okay, flowers. Mark asked about the tickler list or tickler file. Hey Zeke. The tickler file, it basically is when you have your invoices, you've made recommendations, whether it's digital or not, or whatever, get a copy of those recommendations with the company, with the customer's information, put that in a separate file that you can visit later to go back. And when things are starting to slow down, your office staff is sitting around because the phones aren't answering. They can pick up the phones and they can make some of this work happen because the leads are warm. Your technicians have already made the recommendation. And so we can convert a huge percentage of that. A tickler file is what it's called. Zeke, do you have a comment? Maybe not. No worries. All right.
I'd like to hear more about a system sales process. I mean, we kind of went over that already. I'm talking over Zeke.
Yeah, I have one as well. Mine was very tangible. Now, I really feel like it's important to have a nice presentation digitally, but it's kind of hard to share a tablet. But what I did is for example, I had one booklet. Illustrations are really important. Visual support or visual tools that are going to help you. That was just about my installation procedures. And I had pictures of somebody mastic sealing a joint. I had a picture of like maybe a 2-inch insulation versus the 1.5 inches. I don't know what your codes are. I had pictures of levels and pads and drainage systems and backup like float switch systems that are going to protect your ceilings, overflow drain pad, whatever. All these installation procedures. And generally, what I would do is I would take a copy out of a proper installation book with the artist rendition and then our picture. And so it was essentially a reference book. And as I laid out on the kitchen table, and it was always the kitchen table, that was one of the pieces. So when I start talking about that list that I was talking about, 90% It's like it's like that Big Mac thing we looked at, the Big Mac picture, the way it's supposed to be, and then when you get it, it's all smashed. It's kind of like that. So we illustrate that, and we lay out these are the installation procedures, just some of them that we hold our employees to, so that we are that 10% that things are done properly. And we've indirectly told them that 9 out of 10 quotes are probably going to fall short, but not ours. So that's one piece. You may have another piece on your credibility book that has a copy of your license, a copy of your insurance, a copy of all your certifications. You're a member of the Better Business Bureau, whatever community events that you're doing, all these different things, put it in there. Pictures of your guys working, pictures of your employees as family members, not as whatever they imagine them to be, like a work release employee type thing. But no, this is Bob. He's our lead installer. That's his wife, Judy, and their lovely children. He'll be the one installing your system, should you choose to invest with us. And he's, you know what I'm saying? So we're just presenting ourselves totally different. So there's an entire process of this. There's tons of things that you should do. The vocabulary, there's a process to follow. We, first of all, like with Joe, we solve the homeowner's problems before we even start looking at the attic and equipment and the condensing unit and things like this, because we don't want to throw what was in there back in there. This is our opportunity to bring it up to the standards that you, Mr. Jones, what you want, what you need, things like this. So we've got a whole process, absolutely, and so we'll talk about that later. But the point is, you need it, absolutely. I've taken several training programs over the years, and that was kind of like that agenda close. Did you sit on that one, Eric?
I don't think so.
Okay, so
I might have missed it.
So, Pete comes out to your house. He's wearing a uniform, tech. He's got his hat on. He looks around about 30 minutes and gives you a good quote, And then here comes Eric. Eric is wearing khakis. He's wearing a golf shirt. He's got a photo ID badge. He puts booties on. He speaks with a different vocabulary. He comes in and starts asking, the homeowners, assessing their needs. Are there allergies or this or that? But before anything, Eric says, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we know your time is very important, and this is a very important investment. We want to make sure that we do things right. We don't miss anything. So I have a list that I follow, but this right here is an agenda. I've got 2 copies. This is on your letterhead. This is your copy. There's plenty of room that you can take notes on here. And let's go through this together. First, we're going to we'll have a question and answer series. I want to interview you. I want to find out what your family is really interested in. Then we're going to do an equipment assessment. We're going to go in and look and see what's here and what we have to work with. Then we're going to start looking based on what we come in together and see what solutions that we can offer for you that's best for you. So we want to customize something for you and not just stick something back in there. Do you know what, if you come in with an agenda and you've laid out and you're speaking this way, do you know how you just separated the perception between Pete that was out here and now Eric, the professional? That's the kind of things, but it's a process, right? And that's who you're selling against. May as well beat them at their own game and be better at it. That's the whole thing about the image. Somebody's got a chat over here. Let me see. Oh, Zeke. Can't stress how important systems are. Zeke says, I can't stress how important systems and processes are. I'm a second generation, 40 years family owned. My dad had no systems or processes in place. I've grown the business from 700,000 to 2.2 million. And I'm pulling my hair out. Absolutely. Yeah, I've been there. I could handle 700,000 easily out of my brain. But, in other words, right off the top of my head, I'm past that now. I'm trying to catch up. Start now. You're not too small. Absolutely. So what we do, and like my student right now, he's a small operation. I wanted him to have an employee handbook for every role, right? Your service tech, here's the proper way to fill out a service invoice. Here's all the suppliers. Here, any question that he's going to ask is already in that book. So they're not calling you and you're answering the same questions over and over. Same thing for your call takers, same thing for your customer service reps, your dispatchers. Everybody's got their training guidelines that's going to help. And particularly your front line representatives, the service tech, the maintenance tech, and your installation crew, and your comfort advisor or comfort consultant. So these people really need to be trained and just like a franchise, no surprises, consistency. And you will get the recommendations. You're going to hit that tipping point a lot faster. And just like, I think it was Kelly that said, people say, I want the advertising, I want the marketing, I just need good, steady leads. And all that stuff comes in. If you don't have the processes in place, you're going to waste it. You're going to lose a lot of it to inefficiency, to not knowing how to handle it, or not having the capacity figured out ahead of time on the organization, the structure. You know, you should have a system in place so that your guys aren't out there running for parts. Their time is maximized in the most efficient manner possible. And we can bounce ideas off and take what we already know and make it even better. Because a lot of you guys have experiences that I don't, and that Dennis doesn't have, or many others. Somebody else.
So what, I know we talked a lot about new customers. It seems like that's where the focus has been. What about the customer retention side of this?
That's what the processes are all about in my mind, George. I want those customers to say, I feel connected to these people. I feel connected to your HVAC company. And if they're an experience-based customer, they've got history. They know what everybody else has done. And you start raising your game, it's gonna be evident. They may not say that. You'll get a percentage of feedback, but the idea of this entire process is to show so much respect for what they want, their home, putting on the shoe covers, putting down the tarps, doing the extra things. Can I help you? Doing things that they don't even expect. One of the things that we offered on the maintenance agreement is we had those little instruments, and you basically check the microwave for radiation leakage. A little thing that just makes sure they're safe, and it was just a value added step. Check the batteries in the smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector. My ladder's here. You need to get anything down while I'm here, maybe dust off that ceiling fan, whatever it is that doesn't take just a couple of minutes of time, but it just strengthens that bond. And it's about building relationships. They are coming for your customers. I can't overemphasize this. Amazon, they're getting creative now. They got this Amazon something where they're trying to figure out ways to deliver parts and buy online. And this is why we have to stay ahead. So I think together we can figure out a way to really tie our customers to us. I was thinking about Google. What if Google made it a requirement for you to list your diagnostic charge? Then what if they come out with an app that automatically calculated the cheapest diagnostic charge in your area? You know, we don't know what they've got planned. So we really have to build that relationship and win ahead of time. If we wait till it's too late, we're trying to play catch up, we might be working for Google one day, or Amazon, or some other big box, smarty pants that just beat us at our own game. Like I said, they failed back in the 90s, but they're coming back. That's my opinion. You know, I may be wrong. I doubt it. But good question, George. I think we just have to stay after them. Really, it's hard to break out. It's hard to break up when you've been with somebody for 5-10 years. It's hard to do in any relationship.
Hey, Pete.
Darren. Uh-oh, he froze. Is it me, or did he freeze?
We've already invested a quarter. I'm still here.
Okay, start all over. You froze up for a second. Sorry. One more time.
I said, basically, we talked about the rewrap to rebrand your business. And because, I took a lot from that. And when you mentioned Dan's name, I just happened to send my truck wrap to Dan and say, hey, what do you think about this? And Dan tore it apart.
Did he?
Dan tore it apart. Yeah, he tore it apart. He kind of hurt my feelings, and basically, but the fact of the matter is he talked the truth. But
yeah,
how does a small business with 1-2 employees can afford to pay a $25,000 rebrand like that?
I'm not selling for him, but I would finance that if I had to, because that is your number one foot in the door. I like your logo. I think it's got potential, but this is what he does for a living. The one thing I would avoid is acronym names, D and L. I mean, I know it has a sentimental value to you, but your customer might say something like, what's the name of that company with 2 letters? And then there's somebody else with 2 letters. I don't know. Just be careful of things like that. Just revisit everything and take your good image, which it is good. I like it. The color combination looks good. Check out the rest of the market. Go totally different with color contrast. Follow somebody like that. Maybe not him. Maybe there's somebody else that can do just as good a job, and it's not that much of a budget. And maybe now's not the time. That's up to you. But just the fact that you are uncomfortable with that means you're moving in the right direction. You're addressing something that you didn't realize. This is what I run into all the time with students. They're always telling me what they want, and they don't quite understand certain aspects of their business because they're too deep inside, the forest for the trees. They can't really see it. And somebody like Dan that steps out and that's all he does, yeah, he's going to rip us all apart. Yours truly included, I'm sure. But that's, if we really want to take it to the next level, maybe it takes a little while for us to get there, but at least we're moving in that direction. And we should, if our goal is to be the best, and if you are of that type of mindset that we do the best work in town, we're the best company in town, then I think it's really important for us to find something that represents that accurately, that shows you that you are the best. And I will say, I like your wrap. I like your logos, but if you really wanted to go to another level, we all need to redo that. I was with Lennox when they rebranded or they didn't rebrand that. They redid their logos and they put that cutting edge on there and things like this. So as times move along, we have to move with them. So we have to reinvest in ourselves. So whatever that means to you, everybody's different. I know we had some other people that were on another group, and they had just spent all this money on their wrap, and they were very proud of it. And but I don't know if I ever told you a story, but my grandfather was a professional letterer man in Dallas, Texas, and he was good. He was teaching me to letter and all this other stuff, color contrast, all that stuff. I thought I wanted an old English fancy letter and logo or something. He says, no, you don't. You don't want that, and he starts breaking it down. But he developed the Sears and Roebuck's logo, Frito-Lay, Borden Milk, Mrs. Baird's. I remember working for all of those as a kid back catching the sheets coming off the dryer as he printed all this cool stuff up. And that's where Dan came from. He come up from a background and he knows his stuff. So I don't profess to be at that level by any stretch, but I do know what I like. I think your customers do. And that's probably the main thing. Right? Looking at time. Do we have any questions that might benefit the recording? Because this is our last one. Here's your chance. Pete, you need help? Good. Okay. So I'm going to stop the recording right after this. Don't hang up, guys. I want to talk to some of y'all. But for those of you who are watching via recording, thank you so much for sticking with us all the way to the last video. So you've been with us at least 10 hours. Hopefully you got some benefit out of this. Reach out to us if we can help you with more. If not, look at us on our Facebook group. Look at the different websites. They're listed beneath the video of each of these speakers. You're going to have contact information under there. If you're watching it through YouTube or over on Facebook, we're trying to put that on there so that you can link up with a trainer that you feel like that can help you with your business. But in the meantime, Pete Ramsey, HVAC Greatness, thank you so much for being part of our program, and we will see you on the next one.